Not long to go now until we finally get our hands on the first DLC for Battlefield 1. Next month in fact. We still don't have an exact date, but we know it's coming in March sometime. DICE have slowly been teasing information about the DLC, and recently they gave us a bit of information on each of the new maps as well as the new behemoth and new vehicles. And now some more information has been added to that in the form of what weapons we can expect to see in the DLC and the name of the two operations that are coming with it too. Let's start with the operations. They're called the Devil's Anvil and Beyond the Marne, and considering there are 4 new maps coming with the DLC, it would be fair to assume that they will be both 2-map operations. I think we can work it out as well which maps are going to be in which operation, and I actually think it's in the same order as they're posted on the blog post. For Devil's Anvil, I think it will be Verdun Heights and then Fort de Vaux. That seems to make sense to me. Fight through the fiery hills of Verdun Heights and then move on to the bunkers of Fort de Vaux being the final objective to capture as the attackers. Then for the second operation, Beyond the Marne, we would have Soissons and then Rupture. Much more open maps designed for tank-based gameplay, so they seem to work well together. Now of course that's just what I think based on the info we have, but it seems most likely to me at least. Okay, so onto the juicy bit. New weapons. Let's start with one that we already knew. The Shosho. I suggested that this may be a weapon in a video a little while ago with the concept images we saw, and it was all but confirmed as the gun has a very unique look and style to it. That being said, its unique style was not enough to stop it being labelled as the worst machine gun ever fielded in the history of warfare by a lot of different experts, and that's a bold statement. Thankfully, this is a video game and not real life. It was a French light machine gun, so it stands to reason that this will be a support only weapon. It didn't fire very fast though, only 230 rounds per minute in fact, and only had a 20 round magazine in its default form. Not exactly world beating, that one. I'm interested to see how DICE make this a viable weapon in game. It's also worth knowing that the weapon's official name was Fusil Mitrailleur Model 1915 CSRG, and this is important because the term CSRG is made up of the initials of Shosho, Sutter, Riberoy and Gladiator, who were the manufacturers of the weapon. Next is what I believe to be another assault weapon, the Riberoyals 1918, made by one of the manufacturers of the Shosho. It was made in an attempt to produce an automatic rifle for the French forces, and its official name is the Carabine Mitrailleux 1918. I think we should call it the Rib Gun, just to make life much easier. It had a 25 round box-fed magazine and it fired at around 500 to 600 rounds per minute. And what's interesting is that I also found versions of the weapon that came equipped with a lightweight bipod on the front, but for all intents and purposes this was an SMG, so I have to assume that it's going to be an assault class addition to the game. By 1921 though, the French had abandoned the Riberoy 1918 because of its relatively low targeting range of only 400 meters. There was also a Shosho Riberoyal variant that was designed to be used by French tank crews for close range protection. Now, I know what you're thinking, surely there aren't enough Swedish designed shotguns in the game. Well, thankfully your prayers have been answered. Introducing the Shogun Inertia shotgun. Shogun Inertia was a 12 gauge semi-auto shotgun designed by Swedish inventor Carl Theodor Shogun. It also used an internal inertia system that is now widely used in shotguns, hence the Shogun Inertia name. I'll be honest, I don't really use anything other than the Hunter at the moment in the assault class even after the nerf. I don't use shotguns all that often anyway because SMGs are just more versatile, but if I feel the need to take the action up close then the Hunter is usually my go-to place. Perhaps this Swedish offering could change that, I hope so. Now it was initially produced in Sweden but production did move to Denmark. It had a 5 round internal magazine and less than 5,000 of these were produced. And of course this is a shotgun, so it has to be an assault weapon in the game. Okay, so far we've had an assault weapon and a support gun. Now moving on to what I think is a new medic rifle, the RSC 1917, or the full name, the Fusil Automatique Model 1917. This one is immediately interesting in terms of its design because it's loaded from the bottom rather than the top, which just makes for a more interesting and unique animation. It was a semi-automatic gas-operated infantry rifle used by the French forces towards the end of the First World War, around 1918. Why was it called the RSC 197, you may ask? Well, because of the name of the manufacturers, Ribeail, Sutter and Shosho, names that you probably recognise by now because of my terrible pronunciation, and of course we've already mentioned them and covered them a couple of minutes ago. The RSC only had a 5-round clip-fed magazine though, so if that stays for the game version, it immediately has some disadvantages over some of the other medic rifles. If it's only going to have 5 rounds in game, then it's definitely going to have to pack a bit of a punch. Okay, so moving on to the Lebel Model 1886, which is a scout rifle. It had an effective range of around 400 meters, which suggests to me it will have a sweet spot somewhere below the SMLE. It was a bolt-action rifle with an 8-round tube magazine. It was actually in service from 1887 all the way up until 1940, and over 3.4 million of these rifles were produced. It was known for being hard-hitting and reliable, accurate up to 300 yards but still deadly way beyond that. Having said that, its slow reload due to its tube magazine design was its biggest handicap. Then lastly for the weapons we have the MLE 1903 Extended, which I have a feeling will be a new primary for the tank or pilot classes. The MLE 1903 is of course already in the game, but this variant featured a detachable stock and a more powerful round. It just makes sense for it to be a new tanker or pilot weapon. As well as the new main weapons, we also get 3 new melee weapons to whack enemies over the head with. The Cogwheel Club, which I can only assume is a club with a cog on the end. Maybe I'm taking that a little too literally, but I found an image of what I think could be a cogwheel club. And then we've got the nail knife, which may sound like a knife with nails just sticking from it, which in itself would be crazy, but more likely it's a knife crafted from a nail, which apparently was a thing. And then the trench fleur is a very crude dagger almost. I imagine it gets its name from the shape, considering fleur in French translates to flower. And as well as this, something that we've mentioned before, a brand new game mode called Frontlines will accompany the new DLC, and we also get a new behemoth, a gigantic French Char 2C tank. It's not the only tank either, as we also get another standard tank called the Assault Gun Tank. A new melee based elite class is also thrown into the mix called the Trench Hunter, and a new stationary weapon called the Siege Howitzer will be dotted around for us to play with. As well as the new maps, elite, weapons and vehicles, you'll also be able to rank up an extra 10 ranks, earn new medals, dog tags and extra codex entries for you achievement hunters out there. I'm really looking forward to the new DLC. I think Battlefield 1 needs some fresh maps, and I think the player base will really enjoy what They Shall Not Pass has to offer. Right then, moving on from Battlefield, I've got a couple of little things I wanted to talk to you about whilst I've still got your attention. Firstly, I've had a lot of you guys asking me on Twitter or in YouTube comments how I'm doing in terms of my health. Thank you for asking. And I'm happy to say that I'm feeling much better now. All of my tests and MRI scans came back clear, so nothing major to worry about. And I've been given some medication by the doctors, and that's really helped me out. I was suffering from severe anxiety and stress, believe it or not, and this was causing all of my symptoms. I didn't want to believe it at first because I don't feel like an anxious person or pretty stressed out, but I've had to accept that this was the problem with me and make some lifestyle changes. I was nauseous all of the time, I had this off-balance feeling even when I woke up, I had headaches, stomach aches, blurry vision, feeling sick, and it was just this vicious cycle that I was going through, making everything worse and worse, drumming up all of these ideas in my head, constantly googling symptoms and diseases, trying to self-diagnose myself all of the time really, and it just sucked, and I didn't want to do much or do any work or just do anything really. That's how I've been feeling recently in the last couple of months, but I've had a full checkup now, and health-wise there's nothing wrong with me. It was all stress and anxiety building up and building up. And after accepting that and getting the right medication and making some changes, relaxing a bit and taking a step back from work for a little while, I'm feeling way better now. And I wanted to share that positivity with you guys because when I posted that first video, I was feeling pretty crap, to be honest. And I had so many kind, uplifting comments and people messaging me with ideas and their experiences, which was amazing. And if any of you guys are going through that or a similar thing, stress, anxiety, depression, just know that you can make it through to the other side. And that's all I wanted to say on that really. Right then, today we're finishing off with a bit of a giveaway. Logitech sent me over a G533 7.1 surround wireless headset to check out. Wireless obviously means no wires. Excellent build quality, and the charge on these lasts for around 12 to 14 hours. Very useful if you want to do VR stuff like using the HTC Vive, or of course if you just want to chill on your sofa without being tethered to your PC. They've also got this special Battlefield 1 promo that you can use, which sounds awesome. Why am I telling you this? Well, this isn't a sponsored thing. Logitech have emailed me and offered 2 of these headsets to give away to my subscribers, which is awesome. And I said, yeah, sure, of course, I'd love to do that. So if you want a chance of winning one of these headsets, all you got to do is leave a comment down in this video below, and I'll pick 2 people at random, so good luck with that. Finally, I wanted to let you know I'm live streaming on my Twitch channel way more regularly now if you want to see some live content from me, and you can find me there at twitch.tv/jackfrags, and I'm streaming all sorts of games, BF1, For Honor, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon Wildlands, and basically anything that's new and exciting. So if you want to know when I'm streaming, head over there and hit that follow button so you get the notifications. So that's all for today, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.